a beautiful spring day. We're in mid-March now and it really feels like we're coming out of winter. I'm at the lovely Moor Lakes complex, that's in Wiltshire, and it's an exclusive booking venue. There's two lakes, a slightly larger one and a smaller one. The large lake's about 6 acres. I've got it to myself tonight, so I'm hoping to catch a few because there is a decent stock of carp in here and they go to just under £30. So yeah, it's a lovely part of the world, really nice and quiet and somewhere that you can lose yourself. I'm going to have a little walk around, but it does actually look quite good at this car park end with the wind trickling in here. I'd expect the fish to be on the end of a mild wind. I'd definitely expect them to be getting out a little bit now. Even if they were shoaled up through the winter, I'm sure that they're actually moving about a bit more. I'd expect them to sort of be at either end of the lake. So I'm going to choose the windward end, but I'm definitely just going to go and have a quick walk round and see if I can see anything that's going to change my mind. But yeah, it's looking pretty good here. So I've opted for the swim at the top end of the lake, and it's on the end of a warm breeze, a gentle breeze. It looks really good. I've seen a few carp swimming up and down, and one's just jumped over on the far margin there. So yeah, I'm going to spread a couple of rods along the margin, not right in the edge, just at the bottom of the shelf. And I think I'm going to fish over a little bit of bait. You know, there's quite a few carp in here, and if they're swimming around, I want enough to be able to stop them. So yeah, I'm going to start off with a few handfuls over each rod. For my mobile style of angling, for me location is the most important thing, but what allows me to really focus on location is confidence. Confidence in my bait, confidence in my approach. So I can turn up and not worry about whether the fish are going to eat it. I know that they're going to eat it. I'm just going to fish 2 rods to start off with anyway, sort of up in the corner of the lake. And I think the fish are going to be quite mobile. From what I can see, they are actually on the move. One out there now. Under the surface, hopefully they'll drop down. So I'm going to put a little bit of bait out and I'm going to fish a bright one over the top. At this time of year, pink's really my favourite colour. A lot of people rate yellow, but yeah, pink's always been a winner for me. I'm just going to fish a 15mm shrimp pop-up over the top of a couple of pouches of bait. I'm not actually going to use a bushwhacker for a change. I'm going to cast my rods. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to be fishing for fish that hold up here. I'm hoping that they're going to come up and down the lake. There is a chance that I can move, but with a little bit of luck, they're going to come to me. Let's get a couple of rods out. One of the big baits in carp angling about bait over the years was shelf life versus frozen bait. And I was always a freezer bait user from the very beginning of my carp angling, you know, over 30 years ago. But in recent years, I actually got rid of the bait freezer, and over the last 5 years, I've used solely stabilised or preserved baits. In the last decade, I've spent a lot of time watching fish, eating bait, and I know that the bait that I use now, I have utmost confidence in it. I've watched fish absolutely gorge themselves on it, and that goes for all the Nashbait that I've used over the years. I haven't noticed any that won't get the fish absolutely troughing. So yeah, for me it's definitely, if you put a good bait in the right place, yeah, the fish can't turn it down. Well, do you know what? The sun has just started to break through and it is really feeling spring-like today. And they've obviously started to wake up. I mean, that was a bright pink one over a bit of bait there, so I'm pretty sure that it singled that one out in amongst the bait. There's probably still most of that down there, to be honest, because I've only just put a few handfuls out. I was just watching the coot diving on a few of them as well, but they were obviously feeding together quite happily. Come on then. Oh, that's a nice one. Sun's come out and we're away again. Just got one in the net down here which I was about to sort out, and my right hand rod's gone as well, so they've obviously arrived up at this end and they're hungry. Right in the top lip. Mega. Wow, what a great carp that is. Super nice scaly one. Taken on my usual multi. over a few pouches of 12mm monster shrimp boilies. Nice and simple tactics for the spring. Made my life easy for a change. Lovely fish. Yeah, really quick bite, 10 minutes after pinging that one over to the far side with a bright pink shrimp hop up over a good few handfuls of 12mm. Surprised that one went so fast really, but obviously singled the bright one out. Yeah, lovely carp. Well, I've just tied myself a fresh multi-rig because I'm going to put a third rod out. I've had a few bites and they've come evenly spread on each rod, but there are fish showing in the far corner there. So rather than sacrifice a rod that's producing, I'm going to put a third one out. So yeah, the multi for me, for this kind of fishing is really perfect. It's really good being fished over a scattering of boilies as well as bait. And because the hook is so easy to change, when you're getting a few bites, it means you don't have to keep tying new rigs. So yeah, all my bites come on pink, so I'm going to stick with that, and I shall walk around, throw a handful of boilies over the top, keeping it nice and simple. Boilies play a big part in my angling, but not always whole. I use a lot of flaked boilie, especially as I'm using the baiting spoon. But there are times where it is essential to use larger baits and baits that are resistant to nuisance species. Boilies can also be extremely convenient. You know, they're formulated to be attractive to carp and they're actually easy for us to apply. So in a situation like I'm fishing at the moment, it's very easy to catapult a few baits out, it's mess free and the carp find it extremely attractive. I end up presenting a trap which is very effective. So yeah, there are lots of plus points to using boilies and they play a big part in my angling. Well, I'm glad I went to the effort of tying a rig up and getting another rod out. I was quite happy with two, but seeing that fish keep jumping over the far side, thought there was maybe a chance of nicking an extra bite. And it didn't take long, about 10 minutes and it was away. I've got really nice fish in the net. I'm going to ping it back over there because if they are coming up and down that margin, then they're going to come across that trap and maybe I'll get a few extra bites. Well, he's not the biggest one I've had, but it's a really lovely fish. In fact, they've all been really clean, lovely carp. Most of them pretty scaly. Beautiful. Well, it's a beautiful afternoon. The sun is trying to break through and it's pretty warm, like feels quite spring-like. Almost bucket hat weather. And there's a few fish bobbed up on the surface now. I've seen a few jumping and they seem to be pretty spread. I think I caught the one that was jumping over there because he stopped jumping now. I've just watched 4 cruise past. So yeah, I think they're active enough that I don't really have to chase them. I can wait for them to come to me. There's fish showing elsewhere, but to be honest, I'm sort of in quite a good little position here. I've got a couple of easy casts and I can walk around and I can bait up by hand. It's quite easy, I don't have to get the bushwhacker out and yeah, the fish are not seemingly put off by the disturbance of a little bit of casting. I think they're active enough that there's always fish coming round up to this end of the lake, and I think it's worth sort of sticking yourself out either end. A lot of the other shows that I'm seeing are actually right at the other end, so they're either at this end or that end, and I think they're just travelling in between as well. So yeah, this is sort of a natural ambush point. They're not necessarily coming right up under the trees, but they're definitely sort of using the bottom of the shelf as a highway and coming quite close in. Yeah, I've got tonight ahead of me, so I'm pretty sure that if I lay down a little bit of food and I fish something attractive over the top of it, I'm going to get a few bites. Well, I hope I'm going to get a few bites. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick it out for tonight here. See what happens. So over the years, I've used many different boilies from many different bait companies, but over the last 12 years, I've used exclusively Nashbait, and I have to say, I'm pretty happy with what I've caught over those last 12 years. If I look back, and a lot of the time, those boilies have played a big part in those captures. Well, that's the second of 2 quick bites. Not as scaly as the others, but yeah, still a very cool carp, and it sort of indicates my decision to move, which is always my natural instinct. So yeah, I'm going to stay put here, get those rods back out because there's still fish in the area for sure. There are lots of ways to incorporate boilies into different styles of fishing without just using them whole straight out of the bag. Now that can often be a really convenient way, just scattering a few about, a choddy for instance. But yeah, if you want to pep your bait up, you can add liquids. There are also other things that you can do to reduce the flavour or to make the bait less conspicuous, like washing them out or rehydrating them with particle juice or something like that. Boilies can be very adaptable, and it's not just a case of getting them straight out of the bag and applying them, although I'm quite happy to do that in many situations. They fight so hard in there. I don't think it's a big one. There's a lot of head kicking going on. It's pretty powerful though. There's been the odd one showing. There's been a few fish showing down the lake, but there was actually a decent one showed over in the far corner not that long ago. It's not actually that rod that was down that way that's gone, but yeah, it's good to get a bite. And this one is absolutely leading me a merry dance. There we go. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll get the rod straight back out, mate. I've heard a couple of better ones show. Be really nice to get a decent one. I know there are a couple of better ones in here. I mean, you know, that's a good double, but nice to get a 20-pounder, wouldn't it? A couple of cool scales. Quite a light coloured fish. But yeah, real nice one. That'll do. When I first joined Nash, some 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was Gary Bays in charge, and he still produced super quality bait, but they were running out of a really tiny, cramped premises. Since then, things have massively moved on. There's a new bespoke bait factory. Now, with the advice of Gary at the start, Max is in charge. And yeah, producing great quality bait in much bigger quantities now. I think it's going to be a busy night. They're definitely hungry. I wasn't sure if they would be. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Nice. That's a bit bigger than I thought it was. Not a bad one. Here comes the rain. A lovely carp. I didn't know if they were going to be hungry, but yeah, I'd literally only just cast this rod out about an hour earlier. Got a good few handfuls of shrimp over the top, little 12 millers. Yeah, it really didn't take long for a bite. Looks like it could be a busy night tonight. Well, morning. A well-deserved coffee for me and for Mike this morning. It's been a right busy night. Quite a steady succession of bites through the evening. I've lost count of how many I've caught now. Also had a couple this morning at first light. So it's been pretty busy. No giants, but I've had a couple of really nice scaly ones, and the fish have all been super pristine, mint fish. So yeah, it's been great. So I've got a couple more hours fishing. I'm going to hang it out here. The wind's trickling in still nicely, and I'm sure there's a chance of another bite or two. Whatever happens, it's been a great way to kickstart my spring. A few bites is always good for the soul. I'm ready to go get some whackers.